Hi, I'm Suffer Jerome, and I thought I should follow up with the whole Cockygate thing because it's time to discuss writers behaving badly. I also want to follow up a bit with the anthology as well that we were discussing before. So, first of all, Cockygate. I'm just going to pull up this article. So, this article is from the Authors Guild. And yes, for those that don't know, writers do have an Authors Guild that actually looks after things. And the actual title of the article, Industry and Advocacy News, Authors Guild and RWA prevail in court defending authors in cocky trademark dispute. So, all that Cockygate stuff was a big kerfluffle for nothing. Well, not for nothing, because a lot of people saw a lot of people's true colors. And I don't just mean the original author who chose to sue everyone and trademark the name and stuff. But this is good news for all of us because it is, as I've discussed before when it happened to me, that I was, discovered or already knew you cannot copyright a title. You can't. That's why there's many books, and even some of my books have names as other books. And they're saying too in this article that she can't even copyright the word cocky. She can copyright a series, but not the word cocky. So there you go. And what's really sad, I didn't really realize this, because like I said, I kind of half listen and you don't know what's a rumor and what isn't. But I'm assuming that if this is on the Authors Guild page, that is not rumored. But here they had a thing where they said that she actually was trying to stop publication of some books. It's not even that the books are out and she has an issue with the titles and wants them retitled. She's actively trying to stop publication of new material. And that's just wrong. That is wrong on so many levels. It just it blows my mind really, this whole situation. Um, I've seen the odd tweet from people, like I said, I haven't really followed it. I've got a lot on my plate lately, but I do want to start discussing some of these things, or you can discuss in the comments, or maybe if you watch this video, it can be a platform or trigger for you to discuss such things in classrooms or writers groups, how we feel about as a community, as authors, as a community. Do we support each other, or is everyone in it for themselves? So, is every man for himself these days, or are we going to help each other? And then, obviously, we all want our own careers. We all want to make piles of money so we don't have to do other jobs. But on the other hand, it always goes back to what I always say, and and I do what I say. I don't just say things, I actually do things, which is help other authors, which for me is being the chapter head for many years, over a couple of decades really, which helps me connect other writers so they can all meet and grow and such. And the podcast I produce, co-produced with Monica Kubler. Again, we have a platform for people to discuss their books, how to get published. We're not hiding all the secret handshakes. We're giving you the secret handshakes because, again, every author is different. How we tell a story is different. You can have 10 writers writing the same concept story and they'll all be different. This is why, if you read a themed anthology, all the stories are different even though the theme might be the same, because we all have different worldviews, we all have different ways of writing, we all tell stories differently in different styles, different genres, and so on. So there's room for everyone. There really, really is. So fighting with your fellow authors, trying to get, people banned or prevent them from getting published, that's just bullshit. I'm sorry. I try not to swear on this channel, but it's bullshit and it's disgusting. I just can't even imagine. And then, for those of you who saw my other video, Don't Get Cocky Kid, and you heard me discuss how that astrologist tried to ban me. Well, she tried to ban me from using the word sextrology, but again, it's a title, cannot be copyrighted. And so I thought, okay, well, it's been a few years. She's had lots of time to write a book called Sextrology. So she, still has her website. You can Google, it's no secret. And she has not written a book called Sextrology or anything about sextrology whatsoever. And in fact, it looks like she's tried to self-publish a couple of books and she's charging like $20 for a Kindle. Oh my God. It looks self-published. Maybe it's not, but I don't think they're selling because she has sales worse than me when some of my books that, have been out of print have higher sales. So, yeah, you reap what you sow. I'm sure she's very wealthy doing her astrologies and stuff, because those professional astrologers do make crap ton of money, unlike me, because I have my fingers in too many pies. But so, and I was thinking too with all this is again with the whole idea of everybody helping each other or it's a small world or whatever, that if the astrologer who, you know, got mad at me for sextrology, if she had let me keep my title for my book series, and every time people Google me, they would see her. I think she was going about it backwards because she was getting angry that every time she Googled sextrology, I was coming up. But she didn't think about it in reverse, how maybe that would help her sales or, cross promo. Anyways, that's a dead horse, as it were. And then the other thing I was discussing last week, I think it was, the Hellbound books and their anthology that was like 28 male writers, and then they added Linda Addison, and Mary Sangiovanni was already one of the authors. Then I wrote and asked them if I could be included, so I'm now one of the authors, and there are a few other lady authors that are on the roster and had always been. We just didn't know because I guess they everybody runs companies different, but when it came to publishing, because we saw a list of authors, we all jumped to the conclusion that this was the finalized table of contents. But in fact, for them, they were adding people's names as they were accepting their invitations. Anyways, they've taken down all the names now because after days and days of scandals and screaming, and well, Facebook screaming, it's only screaming in your head when you're reading it, right? But that they've definitely they've shown a really good attitude that they're like, yeah, you're right. We need more women. We did have more women, but we were premature in putting our list up, and we welcome any advice and so on with regard to this anthology about Jack Ketchum. And they're really being open-minded and open-hearted, and they want to do what's best for the writer community, for the horror community. And it's a touchy subject with Jack Ketchum because we're all still grieving. He only died in January, so and he was loved by so many of us. So you also have the whole idea of like several hundred people want to be in this anthology. And you can only have so many, right? Because how big are these books? Anyways, I believe there's now going to be something like 5 anthologies from my last count. And I don't know if they'll all actually happen because, putting on an anthology is time consuming, expensive, and so on. So we'll see how that goes. But I personally will be in 2 anthologies. The Hellbound Books one, and then another one that I was invited into that is being edited by some nicely professional people. So, that the whole Jack Ketchum anthology, trying to create give women writers an equal platform to the male writers. We're making a little, step by step, we're getting some ground going. And, people scream about social justice warriors and all this stuff. It's not about that. It's like there are already many women working in horror and have been, like for me, 20 years. And I personally am not usually overlooked for things, overlooked if you can call it that. So I hadn't really experienced a lot of the things that a lot of my sisters have experienced. And again, that's why I do these videos. That's why I do my chapter. That's why I try to help authors because I want to know what's going on. And, if you have talent, you have a good story to tell. It shouldn't matter if you're a man or a woman, trans or, you know, um, what race you are, anything like that. It really, really shouldn't matter. It should be all about telling a good story. And of course, I completely understand because I do it too, and I'm part of this as well, that you do want to work with people that you know. You want to work with people you can trust will deliver a quality product in a timely manner. So there's a bit of that going on too. You know, it's like when I was in community theater, it was always the same people getting the leads, you know, and my son was always the dance captain. And, you know, I would either be on stage or stage crew because I was mom in those days. But back when I was a teenager doing theater, into my early 20s with a community theater group, I always was in a show. I never was rejected once I got in because they knew I was reliable. I could do my thing. Not might not be the best actress on earth, but competence. And I show up, and you know I'm not going to freak out on the stage on opening night, and you know that kind of stuff. So I do understand why editors and publishers would continually want to work with people they've worked with before. It's like when I was with Leisure Books, I worked with Don Doria and we did 4 books together. Then when he went to Sam Hain, we did another 3 books together. Then Sam Hain folded and now he's at Flame Tree Press. And if I ever get my act together, I'm going to try and work with him again. But I have to do these romance books. Well, they're not romance. I don't know why I said romance because I'm thinking of Cockygate, my sextrology series, which is now called Witch Upon a Star series. I need to get that back on track. So that's my priority right now. And I'm also working on a space opera. So I gotta get those 2 things out and then I'll get back to the horror stuff. But in the meantime, I am writing a lot of horror short stories. And again, every single one has been an invite. And so I feel like, okay, I'm a woman, a Hispanic. So I feel like diversity is kind of a thing, and that's why I never really had a lot to say about this topic for about 20 years. But it does seem now, in the last few years, the modern trend has the world's going backwards, and I think we're seeing that in society in the United States, that things are going kind of backwards socially, and so it almost feels like a lot of the power women gained in the horror field might be going back, might be going forward. It's hard to say because again, I looked into this about 3 or 4 years ago in the horror field about, you know, are women not being published? Like, why is there only like 2 or 3 women in an anthology or whatever? And then when I started poking around and directly asking a lot of my peers, you know, what's your experience? And so many times they would just say they never submitted. So if you don't submit, you can't complain. It's just like voting. If you didn't vote, you can't complain. You know, you got to get in the game to complain, right? You can't. If you're standing on the sidelines going, nee, 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 that does nobody any good. You're just more noise. So you have to put your money where your mouth is. If you're a woman writer and you want to be represented, you have to actually submit your stuff. Because, like I said, when I worked for Leisure Books, they didn't care. They just want to make money. Any publisher or film or whatever, at the end of the day, they want to make money. So again, it goes back to showing you're reliable, responsible, and competent. And, you know, you have a bit of talent, but at the end of the day, you have to be good at your job. And and you got to show up. If you don't show up, how can you be in the fight, right? So I guess my encouragement is, hey ladies, get those books out, get those stories written, send them out. They're no good sitting in your drawer while you're bitching on Facebook. And I'm not saying that's always the case, you know, but it was interesting to me a few years ago. I did see it was a bit of a case with some of the women I talked to, and I can see, you know, that the business with Hellbound books has really it exploded the genre a little bit. That people are again, you know, this. We've had these conversations quite heatedly over the last year or so. There's the new Stephen King anthology that just came out, and it's all men. It's a fight or flight or something like that, and that started a bit of a turmoil a few weeks ago when it was announced. He had this anthology, and it's all men, and you know that there's and it's like Stephen King, come on, dude, like you're supposed to be helping us, not, you know. So Again, it's educating people, and also, and even with the education, 'cause, Stephen King's wife is a fantastic writer, so it's not like he doesn't know women don't write, but it's educating people on who the players are. And again, if you're not in the game, if you're not squawking, if you're not being bold, if you're not going forward and presenting your work, they don't know you're there. You have to go, hey, hey, hey. And sure, maybe women do have to work twice as hard. I don't know. I just know I've always done what I've done. And I don't recall ever having a door shut to me. Because even in the Hellbound books fiasco last week, all I did was email them and ask if I could be in the anthology. And they said they'd be honored to have me. There was no hemming and hawing or, oh no. They were like, wow, And again, it's just getting on the radar. They didn't realize, they didn't connect. Oh, yeah, you're right. That we need more people or whatever. And they were open. And that's all we can do. If people are open and we have conversations about things, then stuff gets done. And we can all get on a better equal footing. Like I said, I don't feel like I've ever been snubbed or put down because I'm a woman writer. And that's why I want to, because I am a loudmouth. That I do want to help my sisters who might be too shy or too afraid, or they're new, so they don't know how it works. And certainly, anyone watching this, you want to ask me for advice, pop me an email. I'm pretty easy to talk to, as you could probably tell on my videos. I just blah blah blah. So yeah, we're all in this together. So Cockygate lady, and I'm not gonna call her out by name, but get your act together, man. Like we're supposed to, we're humans. Humans need contact. Humans need companionship. And we all, and especially a woman writer, we should all be helping each other. We already have bad reputations for being, women have bad reputations for being backstabbers and stuff in the business. So whether it's horror or romance or whatever. So we all got to help each other. And so let's just do it. Let's get this done. Okay? Have a great day.